Hey, everybody, it's Mary Trump here, proprietor of The Good in Us here at Substack, with my friend and also proprietor for a Substack called Uncompromised and founder of the awesome pack, the Seneca Project. Hey, Tara Setmayer.
Hey, Mary Trump. Thank you for having me. And
Of course.
Mary is also one of our esteemed senior advisors for the Seneca Project and my friend. So I'm happy to be here with you.
Yes, and that last part is the most important part, the friend part,
Indeed.
because these are dark times. It's the
Oh,
holidays. It's basically, I think safe to say both of us truly enjoy this time of year, but
yes.
because it's 2025 and we are in the day-to-day horrors of the Trump regime, it's a it's been a really tough year, and it's not exactly ending on a high note. So I wanted to start with the Epstein file debacle, tragedy, travesty, whatever you want to call it. Now, on the one hand, it is obscene that the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, who, as everybody should know, were guilty of horrific crimes, including the rape and sex trafficking of girls and young women. Uh, they are not getting justice in any real way. And the person most impeding that is Donald. So there's that horror because the DOJ is completely at his beck and call. But then, Tara, and I wanted you to talk about both of these sides of it, their strategy or Donald's strategy of blocking the release of the files and now the DOJ's slow rolling it is actually not working in their favor, which I think
No.
is going to end up being better for everybody.
Yes. We all know this. Even when you're a little kid, when you haven't done anything wrong, you're like, hey, I didn't do it. I'm good. Like, there's nothing to hide. But
Right.
when you've done something wrong, you do all kinds of things to avoid the truth coming out. Donald Trump has not acted like someone who has nothing to hide. It has been the complete opposite. And it's they're insulting the intelligence of the American people, the way in which they have prosecuted this whole thing. It's like, so they were real, they talked a lot of shit about, oh, we've got the files, and it was a campaign issue. Cash Patel and Dan Bingo Bongo Bongino made a whole
Right.
podcast career out of this.
Dan Bingo Bongo, I think we should, you know what we should do? We should do what Donald did with the Kennedy Center and just rename
Yeah.
Bingo Bongo.
Yes. Yes, that's what we call him over here at the Seneca Project. It's
It's the
Bingo
Gulf of
Bongo.
America. It's Dan Bingo Bongo.
Dan Bingo Bongo Bongino. Except the difference is it's not illegal for us to rename him if we want to. It was illegal for Donald Trump to throw his name on a living memorial and desecrate it, but that's up to Congress. Add that to the list. Add that to the list. So, but yeah, these guys made entire podcast careers out of the Epstein files and the conspiracy theories around it and all of that. And then when they got into power, they were like, oh, holy shit,
Mm,
there is something here, and it
yep.
ain't great for our guy.
Right.
So we're gonna do what we were put here to do, which is obfuscate, delay, hide, bullshit the American people for as long as they possibly can. Remember, Pam Bondi said it's on the client list is on her desk, and but all of a sudden that went away, and
Yep.
and then Dan Bongino looked like somebody smacked him around when he was on Fox News. He was so shook when he was being asked about the Epstein files, and he was like, well, there's things in there that aren't great, but I mean, he didn't know what to say. Him and Cash Patel. So this whole thing has been one big obstruction of justice operation from day one. And I don't think they ever anticipated that their own people would revolt and force this vote to put it into law for the survivors to finally see some justice. And once Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna joined forces alongside Marjorie Taylor Greene, for God's sakes, I mean,
Yeah.
this has been the weirdest year ever. I
Yeah.
swear to God, I've
Yeah.
said this before. I'm like waiting for the asteroid to come. I'm like ducking because what the hell? We have Marjorie Taylor Greene making some sense on a couple issues. Again,
Mm,
I already know, folks, don't at me. We don't trust her. She's
no.
not invited to the barbecue.
No.
She's not like, like
She's
buddies now.
wild.
Yes, she is a terrible person. But even a broken clock is right twice a day, and she's right on the Epstein issue. And
Yeah,
it has created a civil war within the Republican Party and MAGA that I don't think Trump and his acolytes anticipated. So all of this brings us to the DOJ now having to comply with the law. Not like that's ever been an issue for them before under this
ugh,
regime,
yeah, no kidding.
but the PR, the public relations disaster that this has been for them is monumental, and it's not insignificant. This is a huge problem for them. So the drip 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 of them releasing these files trying to BS people until we're complying. No,
Right.
you're not. No, you're actually not. And the survivors and how, like, people, I don't think, again, they underestimated how powerful the stories and the
Yeah.
visual and the combination of it being bipartisan with the survivors and people on the MAGA side coming out. They completely underestimated that this would be a political nightmare for them because Trump
Well,
is losing his grip on them in this area.
yeah, and there are two things there that I think are really important. Uh, they don't care that you and I want the Epstein files released.
Correct.
They don't care at all. They
Correct.
care. They understand that they need to care that the base continues to want it because it was a promise made to them, and they're still deluded enough to think that Donald's promises mean anything.
Right.
And it's not just, again, I don't actually necessarily think initially it's because they really cared about the victims.
Oh no.
They believed that the people implicated in the crimes were their enemies, the Democratic elite and the globalists, right? But now, as Donald, as you said, is acting like the guiltiest person on the planet, and the DOJ is not just slow rolling it, but insulting our intelligence by failing to redact victim images and information, and
Yep.
then releasing for example, a 119-page document that's completely redacted,
Right. Blank.
blank,
Yeah.
completely
Just
blacked out.
blacked out.
So I think some people who may not have necessarily cared about the victims, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, are hearing their stories in a way they didn't before. And the tide is really turning, and they don't have control over this narrative anymore.
No, they have lost the plot. And the funny thing about this, I don't funny, I don't the
Yeah.
ironic thing about this is that you've got the propaganda mouthpieces out there trying to turn this into, like you said, oh, it's about the Democrats in here. It's the Clinton Epstein files, right?
Right.
Scott Jennings' lying ass was on CNN
Ugh,
a couple days ago, literally trying to change the narrative
yeah.
into what that this is the brilliant comm strategy they thought they were going to have by releasing these documents in pieces, and that there were a couple pictures of Bill Clinton, which is not news. We already know that
Right.
Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were big contributors to the Clinton Global Foundation
Mm-hmm.
in the early 2000s
Mm-hmm.
when that was a thing. I mean, they bought access all the time.
That's right.
So that doesn't mean that Bill Clinton was engaged in the horrible stuff they were doing, or if he was, then we'll see. We should have seen the evidence by now. We haven't, because it doesn't exist, which is why the Clintons are taking a pretty forceful position on this, where they're like, listen, we feel very confident in our position here, so go ahead, keep releasing it. It's no secret what we knew. We didn't know he was doing all of that, but okay. Well, that was all to set up the narrative to try to inoculate Trump from what was coming, which is what's happening now. Because remember, like I said, when Bingo Bongo looked like he had seen a ghost that back in May, it's because they knew that Trump's name was in these files thousands of times. It's why they had all these FBI agents on 24/7 redacting watch to try to scrub the files of Donald Trump's name. So that was all in the spring before Elon Musk blew the whole thing up. People forget this. We're here now because Elon Musk and Trump had a Twitter bitch fight, and Elon decided to blow it up and say, hey, yeah, and you're in the Epstein files. Drop the mic. And then that's how we got here. And everybody went, wait, what? We forget the series of events. So
we do, because they completely tried to flood the zone, but it doesn't matter if they flood the zone or not, because our position is and will remain, release all the files. I don't care who's implicated.
I agree.
I don't care what party they're from. I don't care. If they are implicated in these horrific crimes, they need to be exposed. all of
Exactly.
them, and they need finally to be held accountable. So the
Hmm.
survivors or the families of those who did not survive Epstein and Maxwell
Yep.
get some justice.
Some
So
justice, exactly. And that's the difference between the way the Democrats have handled
that's right.
this and the way the Republicans have handled this. Because the Democrats from day one have said exactly what you and I just said. We don't care who's in there. If that means if it was Bill Clinton or whoever, so be it.
So
Enough is enough. This has been going on for 30 freaking years. This is insane
30
that
years of people in power covering up for a man and a woman who raped and sex trafficked girls and young women.
that's
That's what
right.
we're hearing.
That is the key. There has been a global cabal and
Yeah,
an unbelievable, uh, protection racket here
yep,
of these people, and enough is enough. I think this is one of the biggest scandals we've seen in our lifetimes, because it's not just here, it is a global cabal, and from the royal family down to the presidents of the United States, like,
right.
this is pretty incredible, and this morning, we saw now the more of the drip drip of these files coming out, where a it seems like a suicide kind of note situation from Jeffrey Epstein, handwritten. This is what's being reported to Larry Nasser. To
Of
remind
all
of,
people,
of who that is, that's the disgusting doctor who molested all of those U.S. gymnastics team,
hundreds of them.
hundreds of girls. Okay. Another predator that got away with it for years. And then finally, justice was served with him. But the fact that there's this like weird kinship that these pedophiles feel with each other, that Epstein would send a handwritten note, this was from prison when he was in jail, to Larry Nasser. And I'm just going to read from it because I don't know if we have the graphic, because this is kind of happening in real time.
Yeah.
But this is being reported out by legit news stations. Um, yeah, a letter Epstein appears to have sent from jail to Larry Nasser referencing our quote, our president. Quote, our president also shares our love of young, nubile girls. When a young beauty walked by, he'd love to grab snatch, whereas we ended up snatching grub in the mess halls of the system. That is one of the quotes from this. It also says, he makes a reference to that he's taken the easy way out, which seems to refer to the fact that he was planning on ending
Hmm.
his life. So the conspiracy theories about him being murdered are somewhat debunked again. So, because there's all that out there about that. But I mean, it all feels like contemporaneously, like, why would he lie about these things? I don't know, maybe not. If he was planning to end it, there's those conversations between him and Michael Wolff about Donald and this. I mean, Donald admitted that Jeffrey Epstein likes young girls.
Hmm.
I mean, there's all of these Aaron Parnas, who's out here, always breaking news. He's like the hardest working newsbreaker on the internet, I guess. This kid is never like offline. But Parnas and a bunch of others, they have these you know they're combing through this, and it's saying that Trump's referenced in the overnight Epstein document dump, DOJ specifically mentioning in its tweet this morning. He's mentioned so many times that DOJ actually had to like make a reference to it. They did not give the same warning for documents related to President Clinton or any other individual. So
Yeah.
DOJ
Shocking.
actually had a warning that, by the way, just so you know, Trump's name's mentioned multiple times. Like, it is unbelievable.
We have a video that we'd like to play. So set that up for us, and
Yeah.
then we'll take a look.
So Seneca Project, as you guys know, we are a women-led, women-founded super PAC. We are a messaging and content super PAC, and we try to put out no nonsense, hard hitting content for people that others aren't doing. And we were one of the few organizations that actually stayed engaged this year, while a lot of other Democratic organizations and left-leaning organizations were like, "Oh, midterms don't start until January of next year," or "Oh, we're still recovering from the loss of the election." And we're like, "We can't. The other side never stops. MAGA never stops, so we can't stop either." And we did not. So part of our efforts this year, we put out a couple videos that nobody else did. And we put something out with we have a new creative team that we're working with. Shout out to Atlas Creative out there in LA, fabulous ladies who have come from Hollywood and TV and movie world that have dedicated some of their time now to making video content politically because they wanted to use their talents to help make a difference. So we've teamed up with them on a couple videos now with Seneca, and this was our first collaboration with Atlas Collective, and it's called America is Watching, and it is about the Epstein cover-up and putting politicians and administration officials, we don't care what side you're on notice that we will never forget who protected pedophiles and predators, and that America is watching, and that applies right now. We are all watching who's doing what, saying what, and how they're behaving. And we hope that people remember this as we go into midterms next year. So here is our video, America is Watching.
I was recruited in 2004. I was 17 years old. It was full-blown sexual abuse. There are 1,000 of us.
Our voices are real. This was me at 14 years old.
I was only 14.
The Epstein files are not about loyalty to any one political party.
Shame on any elected official who obstructs truth and justice for the American people.
The president's got the power to release the Epstein file right now.
I believe he's trying to protect friends and donors.
The massive distraction by the Democrats.
I am traumatized. I am not stupid.
The House voted 427-1.
The bill is passed.
The whole thing is a hoax.
I'm deeply disappointed in this outcome.
Jeffrey Epstein was not a pedophile, but he liked 15-year-old girls.
We want the whole truth to come out.
And when it comes out, this country is really going to have a moral reckoning.
Okay, brilliant as always. We're going to share that far and wide.
Thank you.
All of this needs to come out, and people like Tara have been on this since the beginning. We're not letting it go.
No.
If this week has been any reminder that independent media is important now more than ever in America, this week would be it. If you would like to help, please like and share this video with your friends and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Thanks.